Warm welcome, Niklas.
Thank you.
You have been part of this event before, right?
Sure.
And you have been now the CEO for WirelessCar for 6 months, but I think you've been within the company for 10 years now.
Exactly, yeah. So it's been a fantastic ride, and so happy to be here and see that so many people are all the way into the evening, and there's a long evening with Silicon Valley soon to call as well. So it's great to have the energy here. So please stay awake, and we'll hopefully give you some interesting insights.
Sounds good. Let's get going then. How have you at WirelessCar built up your know-how in the industry?
Yeah,
You're
I mean
23 years now.
Exactly, 23 years. It's almost impossible to imagine. I've only been here for 11 years, but that's also a long time. And honestly, so little has happened during 23 years. Honestly, if we look back, we were just getting some insights about the presentations 20 years ago, and it was basically the same story as we were told today. But also so much has happened. If you look on the exhibition floor here, we have a lot of fancy and cool stuff, and we heard Urge talking about all the new sensors, and we just got all the keynotes about the data and how much is happening. So I would say it's a mixed. We are stuck a little bit and are doing a lot of what we've done for a long time. We also are in this tipping point where we actually are seeing that so much can happen in the next future. And that's really a learning. I mean, the way we need to, it's been a mantra for today, together, collaboration. We will not solve this by a single company. It's not a single OM. We need to work as an industry. And that has been a mantra and something that we have been really trying to achieve along these 23 years. We cannot solve this by ourselves. We need to work together. And it's even more obvious when we look at trying to solve the software issue and the complexity of that. We cannot solve that in stovepipes alone. We need to work together. Second, what we really try to do is really kill your own darlings. Dare to try again. Because as we actually heard from Stephen, the previous speaker, around incremental steps take you just this far. And during 23 years, we have seen dramatic changes, of course, of technology especially. And we need dare to take those steps. And we have done that several times. It's a bit challenging. You need to dare to do it, but the reward is normally big. You stay relevant. And thirdly, I think what we have done and are still doing, and we have not heard so much about that during today, is really the strength of the people. And we heard some people trying to recruit here, but the strength of us as individuals, the strength of giving the mandate to the engineers, the business people that understand that, and give them freedom and really shine. And that is how we have been able to grow to the almost 800 people we are today, is because we give the right people their best possible place to work.
Because we elaborated a little bit regarding the title,
yeah.
And then you said specifically this accelerates step by step. I mean, what is your working methods at WirelessCar? How do you...
Yeah, I mean, one important thing is, and I think it's so good to be here over the full day because you see so many parallel tracks. And we started off this morning by getting really how can you shorten the delivery time, going from a proof of concept to really production grade. And that has been and are still a problem in automotive industry because it's like 5 years instead of software where it should be 2 weeks. And really, you need to work with discovery really early on, trying to make your service or digital services viable, making sure that it works technical, but also business. But then, next step is really to go to business and try to use that as a unique opportunity for that specific OM and that specific partner. But in the end, of course, this will be a commodity, and you need then to economy of scale and do production. And you don't do this by try to build everything from the beginning. You try to do this step by step in the different services, in the different pieces. And that's what we mean. We have a lot of the pieces, I think all pieces we need to take the next step in mobility. We have seen a lot of them today, but we need to put them together. We need to put them together as an industry, and then we take the next step.
And talking about industry, I mean, we had Eva from SKF mentioning the ecosystem
Yeah.
aspects. What role would you say that you are taking, and which ecosystems are you part of?
Yeah, I mean, that's very interesting because we are all sort of partners, competitors, customers, suppliers at the same time, basically. I mean, we have been really true to our heritage. We are delivering to the OEMs, have always done. We've never gone through that. We want to make the OEMs shine. We want them to take the opportunity to really use all the power of data and the digitalization. And that we are true to, because that's how we can really make a change across the industry. So we want to get the OEMs up to building their own ecosystems. We see a lot of them now are building their own ecosystem, but they cannot do it by themselves. They need help, and they need help from industry, but also from partners as us. So for instance, we use subscription management, and one of the tools to really enable B2B2C or B2B2B, there are so many different variants, and to really have the different capabilities, we can help to really quick start that.
Do you think they are afraid of becoming contributors? We discussed a little bit that everyone wants to be the orchestra, or...
Yeah, actually, we have a very interesting discussion around this in the office yesterday around how will the future of mobility look like. Will there be a few tech giants taking over? Will the OEM flourish and be there? Or will there be something in between? And the one that knows the answer could raise your hand and tell us, because I think that is really the question that we everyone ask ourselves. Myself, I think there will be something in between. I think we will see every different possibilities going forward. This is a very interesting time being in the automotive industry. So we don't know, and that's why I'm here. It's so fun to see how this will evolve and what will happen. And we need together to shape it.
And the session before, the importance of data. I know you have around 9 million now connected cars generating data. But how are you helping the OEMs to make new digital solutions, and also maybe autonomous area also?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, data we have a lot of. We can always need more data. I don't think data is biggest of the problem, because we have been good. We see that in the exhibition hall as well. We just put another supercomputer in the car, and then we have even more data. The problem is how to use that data and how to select that data and how to really use that in the best possible way. Because yes, if we collect all the data, I don't think that is sustainable either. I think we need to select what data and use the right data at the right time. I think one of the key things that we are investing in is help edge in the vehicle, really making a possibility to shorten the lead time to services. So, for instance, it's not been up to stage today, but Google and Android Auto, there's a possibility with GAS, a really quick, shorten getting into the vehicle and delivering end-to-end digital services immediately. Secondly, I mean, we are really working with shared mobility since a long time, and when we're starting to get into autonomous cars, autonomous driving, there will be so much more new needs of digital services. I don't know, I guess everyone here has seen the video clip of the car stopped by the police, and there's no one driving that, and the cab is completely, I mean, what's happening? And then the car started to drive away, and imagine you were actually a passenger in that car, and you could be sure that cab would have said, you are driving that from the back seats, you will be charged, because they will not understand that. And here we need new digital services, we need help. And we have a lot of that already. We've been working with call center services and safety services for the last 22 years. We just need to adapt them to the new reality.
But how are you utilizing the partnership then? You discussed that you can't do this together, but how do you enter partnership? And,
I said we need to do this together.
Yeah, exactly, and to be clear.
Yeah. No, I think, I mean, we cannot try to fit this into specific partnership. We need to be open. That's why I think we are lacking. I think it's a bit cumbersome with telecom because it's so long standardization cycles, but we're lacking this in this industry. We are not creating any platforms together. We are just stovepipes, different stovepipes, and that's a problem. So I'm really hoping that some of the different initiatives that are happening right now will flourish, so we get that sort of first step, so we don't need to reinvent everything. But except from that, I think we need to really dare to be working with competitors, working with different suppliers, etc., to really find the new ideas. And actually, we are working with some of the companies here, of course, trying to find new ways of using data and making that to the next level.
And talking about who you're working with,
Yeah.
maybe you have potential to expand also, because now it's also only personal cars. And I would like to know a little bit more about your business models and how you elaborate regarding this.
Yeah, I mean, we are a service provider. We are not a software provider. We deliver services, and that means that we deliver on 24/7 and without the hassle of anyone really trying to understand the code or anything like that. And that could definitely be using between passenger cars and heavy-duty cars and the heavy-duty industry. So we're really into that. We have an heritage from AB Volvo. We still own partly by them, but now also from the Volkswagen Group. And really looking into the synergies, because I think there are a lot of synergies between passenger cars coming from a lot of the view of the passenger, the B2C business, and from the B2B and the fleet and shared mobility that comes from the more heavy duty. And I think we can learn a lot in that space.
I fully agree. But do you have investors that allow you to elaborate regarding these new business models, or are they focusing on cash flow here and now?
Yeah, I mean,
Coming from Scania, I have a different perspective, I think.
No, but we are lucky. I mean, 4 years ago, we were sold partly by AB Volvo to Volkswagen Group, and we were actually picking the owner of WirelessCar really carefully, because we wanted an industry owner with a selfish interest in what we were doing. That's really, so we were really picky about who should be able to buy us, and we were lucky having an owner letting us be part of that, actually. So I'm actually very lucky to say that we have really the possibility to shape our future, and it's not the revenue next day that is important. It's more that we continuously to innovate and help the industry, but of course the owner have their selfish interest that they will have something as well.
Glad to hear. But how do you see your revenue now then, if you compare to your revenue pools now and going ahead? What do you see growing and shrinking?
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago we said, let's skip the traditional just connectivity, because that will be just, everyone will have that, and we give that to the tech giants because that will solve that. 10 years later, I was completely wrong. We're still doing a lot of ensuring that the true, just the simple connectivity is there, and that's still not the solved problem. And I see now that will continue for some time, but of course that is a shrinking part. I mean, we see a lot around EV services. I was talking about the subscription management and that area, but also about shared mobility. And that these are 3 areas where we're investing, and we see a big growth in.
And last but not least, because I promised we would open up for some questions also, not steal the showtime by myself here, but what do you see will be your key strengths going ahead?
I think really that we have been this lighthouse for the OEMs from the beginning. 20 years ago, we were just showing that it's possible. You can actually get something out of connecting the car. Now everyone have understood that. I'm sure of that. We've seen that today. That's not the problem any longer. We need not to be that show house. But what we see is that everyone is investing insane amount of money and getting very little out of it. Sorry, it's really frankly speaking, but it's the truth. And I really like to be the lighthouse here, showing that you can go from years to weeks to deliver services. And you can do that without sacrificing globality, without sacrificing security and stability.
Thank you so much for being here today, and let's do it together then.
Yes, let's do it together.
Thank you.
WirelessCar.